yo. What's
Hello.
going on? That was funny.
Welcome back to the Common Sensitivity Podcast. I'm your host, Mo, and this is my co-host, Nathan.
You know, because I'm done peopling. You know what I mean? I'm sick of
Are
y'all
you
sometimes.
done peopling?
I'm done peopling, see?
You know
I'm done peopling, you know? This is one of my favorite shirts right here, because I'm done with people.
I have felt like that this week. Yesterday, I was so done with people.
Yeah?
Specific people,
Oh,
but
shit.
we won't talk about that on air. Because, you know.
I wish I had the emoji eyes right now. Like,
That's it.
hey, I feel you. It's been like that for the past, like, week and a half. I'll give
Sometimes
you that.
I'm with you, though. I like that shirt. I'm done peopling.
I'm done peopling.
I need to. I'm going to start saying that.
Done
But I'm
peopling.
just done peopling.
Yeah, you know, you reach your people limit for, like, the day, the week.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You're like, no more. That's it.
I'm
Done. Capped off there. We're done. That's funny.
Oh man, Nathan, it's the end of October. Can you believe the end of October is here?
Yeah, I know. Halloween is like right around the corner.
I know. What are you
It's
going to be? Do you have your costume picked out?
What am I gonna be, huh?
Yes.
I ain't gonna lie. I want to be Gene from Bob's Burgers. That's
You're
my nigga right there.
obsessed with Bob's
That's my
Burgers.
dog. Hey, look, that shit funny. Shout out Bob's Burgers.
Are you?
Fuck
Is
them.
is Gene married to Linda?
No, that's Bob.
I don't watch the show. Who is the one you always tell me looks like Linda from Bob's Burgers?
I'm talking about my boss, my manager.
No, I wasn't asking you
No,
to tell me who.
Linda?
I'm just saying,
Oh.
like, who goes with her? For the
Oh,
show?
Bob. That's Linda and Bob is the,
You
the parents.
you should tell her to dress up with you.
Who? My boss?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. She don't even have to dress up. She can just show up, and that's just what it is. That's just what it is with her.
Have you
That's
ever told her
funny.
that she looks like Linda?
Mhm.
And what did she say?
She laughed. She laughed about it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, she's cool though. You know,
Yeah.
she's real cool.
You're so funny. I love that.
I try. You know,
Right.
what you gonna be?
Well, myself. So I want to dress up, but I have nowhere to go.
Look, that's gonna be hard. That's gonna be
Oh,
hard.
you got jokes.
I always got jokes. You know what I'm saying?
Where are you going? Tell the people where you just are going.
No, you know, had to go cut the AC and get cooler than the fan. Hey, stay out my business.
I thought you were taking like a fart break. Were you farting?
No, that's you. I don't do that stuff.
Bloop bloop.
Look, I'll sit here and wait till it buries itself in the chair. I don't care. And then I'll wait for somebody else to discover it, and I'll be
my
like, "What the hell's
goodness.
wrong with you?" Ugh. I do that with my kids. That shit is funny.
Nah. So today, what are we talking about today?
Oh man, toxic behavior.
Oh my gosh.
Toxic behavior.
Toxic.
Accountability.
Yes.
You know, needed therapy.
Okay. All right. These are some really good topics.
Oh yeah. You know,
Deep.
Even some childhood traumas. You know, it stems back pretty far. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You know?
So toxic traits. What'd you say? Toxic
Behavior.
toxic
behavior. I mean, toxic traits as well, because you know that plays a part.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta know what to identify and how to identify. You know?
Yeah.
Just be out here getting the wool pulled over your eyes.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's wild.
Do you think I'm toxic?
I was gonna ask you that.
I know.
I was gonna ask you that. You think I'm toxic?
Oh my
Shit,
goodness.
you know, look. As long as you know me, you think I'm toxic? I don't know. Now, you know what? No, I don't think you toxic. Much. No, I'm just playing. Nah, I don't think you toxic. I don't think so.
Yeah.
You bossy though, but
I'm bossy.
a little bit.
I'll take that.
But that's cool though.
I've been bossy my whole life. It's
Yeah, that's
fine.
all right. That's not really it's not toxic. It'd only be like toxic if you wasn't taking accountability for stuff and you was just like, yeah.
I own all my shit.
me
It
and your
is
bullshit.
what it is. I
I
am
ain't had a choice.
who I am.
She is who she is. She said what she said.
Exactly. Do I think you're toxic? I do not think that you're toxic, but I think that when we allow ourselves to deal with toxic behaviors, that in a way we are contributing
to the
toxicity.
No, I'll give you that. You know, my wife used to say all the time, like early on, like you got to guard your gates. I used to hear that constantly. And I mean, I even heard that before being married and all that stuff. And I always knew what that meant. Some things, though, we just kind of be like, nah, whatever. You know, we neglect those things, I believe. And you are right. If you don't guard your gates, if you don't not pay attention, or, you know, you don't, if you continue to contribute, yeah, chances are it might rub off on you. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And you don't want to be walking around with nobody else's demons.
No. I dated a guy for like, I don't know, 4 years. And toxic. I would have to say that was the most toxic relationship. Toxic as fuck. It was the only toxic relationship I've ever had.
I wish I could say that.
It was wild. I mean,
it's crazy.
I could just tell you like horror stories, and it was wild. And you know what? It was when I woke up one day and his gun was like on the side of my bed, and the bullets were like next to them. And I literally thought to myself, holy fuck, he's going to kill me, probably kill my kid, and then kill himself. Oh no. So I think in that moment that I had that epiphany, I was kind of like, it's time to remove myself from the situation, because the fact that I could even think something like that is wild.
And this was 4 years in when you discovered this?
Yeah, I mean, I was young. So I dated him from the time my son was like 6 months old until he was like 4. But I mean, I guess the last year was like very on and off. So I mean, I guess we had a good solid 3, and then the last year was just like up and down, up and down.
It's too much.
It was wild, yeah. I mean, I can remember like, I don't even know. It was just wild. Like, it's too much. Yeah, I mean, him bleaching my clothes. What? Like, it was crazy. Up, for real? I swear. Just like crazy stuff. So, you know.
Hey, whoever you are, I'm just going to say it. You's a bitch. I'm sorry, you's a bitch. We don't do stuff like that, bro.
It was wild. Damn. You know what? We were young and
bleaching your clothes.
And you know what? I can tell the story today, right? Because of that experience, and I had to grow from that. But I may not have been toxic, but I was super toxic for continuing to like live in that rat wheel for as long as I did, knowing that it was bad. It was bad for business.
You know, I'll say too, like, a lot of times we don't think consciously that, oh, this is like doing anything to us as far as damage, you know, or trauma or anything like that mentally, but subconsciously that shit is there. Guaranteed. Yeah. You know, and sometimes you might not even see it until like years later, and that's kind of fucked up because you don't want to be in like a marriage or something, and then there's like this trigger, and something happens, you're like, you know, and you're like, damn, well, where did this come from? Why am I behaving like this, or why am I doing this, or even to see that even in your partner.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's where like accountability and awareness really plays a part, and
big time.
I would have to say, you know, for me personally, I think I've just always been a very aware, and I don't know, maybe it stems from my childhood, of just like knowing when something didn't feel right. So while I did that, I dated him for as long as I did, there were many reasons why, right? And the number one reason for me was because my son's dad wasn't around, and so I felt like he was the only father figure my son really had known and grown up with. And so it was kind of like giving him what I thought was like good for him, right? But also I was well aware that like the fighting wasn't good. You know, that's not good for kids to see. And in their first 5 years, they're like sponges. They soak all that stuff up, you know.
He's being a little codependent.
It wasn't even, I don't even know if it was so much codependent as it was just like delusion of like, oh, I can change him, you know, or he'll crazy. Change, right? And so it was kind of like, once I realized that like, this is crazy. Like, we just keep doing the same thing over and over and over. I mean, he even asked me to marry him. And I I remember telling him, no, like,
no. What are you doing? Get up.
Why would I marry you?
Get up.
Why would I marry you? This is wild. Like,
were you tying your shoe down there or something? What the hell are you doing? Get up.
Yeah. So I think like, you know, just once I realized all of that, it was it. And then, you know, having that epiphany, I had to take accountability for just kind of the role that I played in that relationship and letting it go on for as long as it did. And then with that accountability, just kind of taking a stand and saying, you know what, it is what it is. Right. Ultimately, this isn't going anywhere. This isn't the relationship that I want to show my son. Right. It's not going to make him a better person. you know,
for real.
And then just cutting it off and being done with it. And now all these years later, when I hear stories from people, I'm just like, wow, like, wow, that's super.
It makes you think.
It's super toxic.
You
like,
see yourself in
why
it.
Why are you doing that?
You see yourself in it like.
It resonates with me because I've been there and I get like loving someone, right? But I could think Tina Turner said it best. What's love got to do with it? You know, ultimately you can love somebody all you want, but if it's not a healthy relationship, you gotta come to that understanding and identify that and take accountability and
so did you
do what you're gonna do.
Did you sever it or did you have to like wean yourself off of it?
No, so I won't say I severed it. It was back and forth for like a year. Like, so you know, so like our last year it was, well, what I did do was when I saw the gun, I did move out. I moved out and I got my own place and you know, I didn't let him come with me, but he did know where I lived, right? And so we did go back and forth. I kind of started like seeing someone else. He was kind of doing his thing. And that went on, like I said, for like a year. And then when I started getting serious with the next guy, it was just kind of like, all right, you know what, this is
you gotta cut it off.
Even way more toxic now because like, you know, you're not my kid's dad and like I'm seeing someone and like this just isn't something that should be going on. And it helped that the guy that I was seeing at the time was like, hey, whatever it is that you feel connected to this person for, like you gotta let it go if you want this to work.
Yep,
kind of
that's
thing.
true.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it went on for a while. It wasn't just severed, and I get that. Like in talking to other people, you know, it's hard when you love someone and when you have history and when you have kids, and you know, it's a lot, and there's so many different components. You know, I think, you know, it's when people really are like, just kind of when your mental health suffers, or you know, when you're most importantly, I think your mental health, you know what I mean, when it starts to suffer from a toxic situation, you gotta make some changes.
Yeah, most definitely. You gotta give a shit about you, for real. You know?
You gotta love you more than you love someone else.
That's true.
And that, I think, in that relationship that I was in, that was my biggest takeaway that I learned from that, is because he ultimately loved me more than he loved himself. And that was scary for me.
So they say by definition, a toxic person, you know, or toxic behavior. Definition refers to a person whose behavior and ongoing actions cause harm to other people by physical or mental means. These are the people who spread negative or toxic stress or traumas on others' behavior.
Don't you agree?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Don't you agree?
Most
and then
definitely.
it's almost like I would compare toxicity to that of insanity.
Almost.
Because what is insanity?
Doing the same thing, hoping for a different outcome.
Exactly. And I think when you're in a toxic situation, right, it's not necessarily that you hope for a different outcome, but you think it's, for whatever reason, you think it's going to be different.
Right.
You know subconsciously that I've seen this before. I've been here before. This is just the same movie replaying over and over and over. But for whatever reason, your love is blind, right? When you're in
Most
love,
definitely.
you're just kind of like, well, they'll change
Right.
and it'll be different
Or it
next
ain't
time
that
around.
bad.
It's not that bad. And exactly. And
There's be those things that
You
creep
ha-
upon you later,
yeah.
and then you wonder why you need therapy. You know? Shout out to therapy because we all need it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid, people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to go get it because we all need it. Even if you think you got it all the way together, go get it.
Yeah.
It's still something out there that you can benefit from. You know, it's like, I like to look at that like a massage. You know, massage is therapy itself.
It is.
You know, but there's parts of your body and stuff like that that you never knew needed that. And when it's healed, you know, or caressed or whatever, massage, just like, oh wow, wait a minute, my back, it feels different, you know, and you never knew, but you needed that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with therapy, you know, you just never knew, you know. I think people have this misconception of it though. They think it's like an AA meeting or something. Or they always think they're going to go lay on this damn couch and talk to these people and fold their hands up and be like, Doc, is this, is that? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I also think that people think there's a couple things that I've heard, right? Some people feel like they're going to be judged.
I mean, that's life.
Exactly.
Why even
Because
worry
everyone's
about it?
judging you.
Yeah,
right?
even you don't even hear about it.
Right. And then I've heard, you know, well, I don't need a therapist to fix me. Well, therapists can't fix you.
No, that's you.
That's not what they're
They're
there
just
for.
to make you well aware.
Exactly. To help you cope and give you some other alternatives on how to deal with whatever it is that you're going through
So
is really what therapy is.
that's crazy. You know, like I always say though, you know, there's nothing wrong with professional help. You need that. But it's like at the same time, everything around you and everyone around you is still here for therapy and to help you. You know, it's about if you're sharp enough to know what to take away, when to take away, how to take away, and how to utilize it. You know,
Some people are closed-minded, and I always tell
Hell.
always tell my son, I'm like, are you picking up what I'm putting down? You know? And I don't think he is half the time. But you know what? I came to this understanding yesterday. I talked to my sister, and she said, honestly, Mo, he's going to be all right.
Oh, yeah.
I know you worry about him. She's like, and I don't know when he's going to get it,
oh,
but he's
it's
going
there.
to be all right.
It's like that.
And that gave me such peace, right? Because I think back to myself at his age, and then I kind of reflect on just some of my last conversations with my mom. And, you know, she would always tell me growing up, oh, you got that, you know, and she was surprised that I got it. And she's like, I did teach you something. Well, yes, you taught me something, you know? So, you know, even though sometimes I think people are closed-minded or shut off to it, and people ultimately, there's a lot of people that don't want to be told anything. They just want to be left alone, not
even
you know,
left alone. They just want to skate scot-free.
Yeah, and they just want to do what they're going to do, right? And that's okay, but doesn't mean necessarily that they're not learning and they're not taking heed, right?
Oh, they learning all right. It's called the hard way. That's why that ass
I was
so
going to say
soft.
what your mom say.
Hard
A
head
hard
makes
head
soft
make the
ass. Look, that's how I got to start going about it from now on in life.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Come here, girl. Let me feel your ass. Hold on. Oh, that motherfucker's soft as shit. Nah, baby. I don't think this gonna work. Your head too hard. That ass soft. Nope.
I'll be the first to say that I was a hard-headed kid. Hard-headed kid. I had to learn everything the hard way. But here's the thing about me. While I might have had to learn it the hard way, it only took me once.
Okay.
So I wasn't somebody that had to keep
going. Yeah.
Yes,
I was like that too.
I'm like, I
was like that. I was like that too.
I got it.
You know, as they say, you don't believe shit stinks, you smell it. You know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right.
But I definitely had to learn shit the hard way.
This one right here. You don't believe fat meat greasy. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. You're right. Only took me one time too. You know.
Yeah.
I tell my mom still to this day, like, trust your teachings. Yeah. Trust it. Like, am I in anybody's jail? No.
Right.
Am I in anybody's cemetery?
Right.
No.
Right.
I may not be like on top of the world just yet, but we're on the way.
Well, and for me personally, like, I'm constantly learning. It is not a successful day if you didn't learn something.
I feel like that too. A lot of people don't exercise their brains.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And at the end of the day, no one is responsible besides you. Which leads to the next point about accountability. No, for real. Accountability is something very vital to your growth. It is like the breath to your growth, to be honest, because if you cannot identify within yourself the errors you made and accept, how are you going to get to the next level?
Yeah, a lot of people are so busy playing the blame game.
That is ridiculous.
Right?
That's
where they're
toxic.
That is toxic. It's super toxic.
It's like full circle. It's toxic right
there.
It
is. And there's some people that just don't know how to just straight up apologize.
That's weird. And you know what? Some of that I believe stems from childhood. You know what I mean? Like, that's why, like, did you when you were raising your son, did you apologize to him ever as a child?
If I made an error,
right.
and until this day, I still do. I mean, yesterday, I was talking to my niece and my nephew, and one of them had left some rice or something on the seat, and I thought it was my niece, so I told her she had to go clean it up, and then I heard her mom say, actually, it was, DJ, which is my nephew, right? And she said to Mel, well, that was DJ sitting there. And so I said to her, I said, you know what, Mel, I'm sorry. And I told DJ, you got to go clean up your mess now. So yeah, I mean, you definitely have to apologize when you're wrong.
Do that.
And that is the first step, I feel like, to taking accountability.
Yeah, most definitely. Because children are going to remember that. Like, and even our generation, it wasn't a common thing. And in the generations before us, it wasn't a common thing. Look at all the people that are still sitting there with that trauma and that pain and everything just built up because all they wanted was just a simple apology, or just, and that says love. That says, like leadership. That says, you're not, like, how do I want to say this? Like hardened heart or nothing like that. It says that you actually are a decent human to me, or a loving, caring person. Like, it doesn't really take away from your status. It doesn't demean you or anything like that. And I don't know why parents didn't really think that was a thing.
Your parents didn't tell you they were sorry?
I love my mama to death and I love my pops, but nah, I never heard sorry.
Yeah.
I'm 80s baby. Just like you. I would never heard. Yeah. I never heard sorry.
Yeah.
And
I don't know that my mom ever really said sorry. I could say
apologize. Nothing. I didn't hear that either. Like, I didn't really get a chance to ever tell my side of the story. It was like, oh, okay, your name was mentioned. You're the culprit. Good. All right. To the death chair. You know what I mean? You're out of here. Go get the belt. It's over. Yeah.
Brutal.
Man. I mean, some of it deserved. Okay. I'm not mad at that.
Okay.
But it definitely shaped me in a different way.
So do you think that would you consider yourself pretty accountable?
I am very accountable, actually. Okay. And it's kind of bad almost. It's like
how accountable you are?
Yeah, because like now I'm just taking account for things that I didn't even do. Which is not good.
Give me an example.
Like my brother told me something along the lines of like, hey, even your loyalty can be toxic. And I was like, what? Like, what do you mean? And looking at things and things I've been through sometimes, remember this saying right here, the bigger person? It's like, what? Maybe I took that in the wrong context. Maybe nobody showed me. You know what I'm saying? But now here I am taking accountability for something that you should be exercising that, and I should be receiving this time around. You know what I mean? Because it's got to be a give and take thing. It can't just be give, and it can't be take. You need balance, like you stated earlier. And it's like I think I overdo it to some degree.
So. You feel like what I'm hearing is that you feel like you're so accountable that you take on responsibility for other people's actions?
Almost, but not exactly that,
Because then you are enabling.
Right.
And you don't want to be an enabler.
I think I've been that though. I think I've definitely done that.
You don't want to be an
enabler.
Degree. No, yeah. And that is toxic as well.
When you toxic.
Are constantly enabling somebody who is exhibiting toxic behaviors.
Right.
That's true. They need to learn to take accountability for their own actions.
And I say that to say, like, I was mistreating myself, I feel. And when you've done something for years and years and years, you kind of find like a comfortability in it. So you learn to cope with it. And it still might eat away at you. It might still hurt you. But you kind of find like that soft place in there, that place of tenderness for yourself. And it's not even to say that it's really working for you, because it's not. You know what I mean? And that's not healthy.
But that's what you were saying about how you grew up.
Right.
It was kind of like you never got to tell your side. And like, your parents never really said sorry, or you made a mistake, or,
and I mean, everything starts there, in
sense.
The home.
Yeah.
Everything starts there in the home first. Your first learning of what a bully is, or, just respect, all that stuff, discipline, all that stuff starts right there in the home. And it's like, you have to shed that and share that with your kids, and your family members that are in the house, or else they're not going to know how to function out here in the world.
Right.
I definitely do that with my children right now.
Right.
I had an instance where my daughter, one of my daughters, actually, my youngest daughter, was doing something that was not suitable, wasn't cool. And I couldn't really make out the picture, like, well, who is this? It looks like you.
What was she doing?
Very, very out of line things. I'm going to just say that, like, parenting problems, like,
okay.
Being misguided, more so.
Okay.
But I thought it was my older daughter. And here along the way, it was like, oh, it's you. So, okay. And in doing so, I already have gotten ready to give her the wrath of God and everything,
Okay.
And I had to stop myself, and really calm myself down and redirect. But also in doing that, I had to take some steps back, retract some statements, feelings and all that. And also give that love and care and tenderness to show my older daughter, like, hey, look, I did make a mistake. I messed up this time and you didn't. I love you.
So yeah.
And here's this. Excuse me, here's this. I have to give you this, because I can't just be like, all right, cool, get out my face. That's traditional stuff. Like, and you got to go figure it out by yourself. Like, I don't want you to feel like that, because then you feel mentally abandoned, and I don't want that.
Well, I think it's super important as parents to, in discipline, also follow it up with love.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So that was something that my mom was super huge on, and it sounds like
love.
You do the same, and it is super important, because I mean, you gotta be able to wear both those hats, right? The nurturer and the disciplinarian.
Yeah, who you telling? Yeah,
but
who you telling?
And ultimately, it does start at home, and I think that's kind of where you kind of asked me earlier. You know, where do you think that sense of ownership came from?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and for me, I think it was something that I learned just kind of early on.
Mm-hmm.
I've always had this almost like a sixth sense of when something didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
And just knowing that like that doesn't feel good. That's wrong. Like something's not right here, you know? Yeah. And so I think that's kind of where I've learned to just like take ownership in areas, right? And speak up for myself, and just kind of, yeah, I guess it is sense of ownership. Just like own whatever it is, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
How does it make you feel when people don't do that, you know, with you?
It used to frustrate me.
Okay.
And I think it depends on the situation per se, right? Everything is situational. Like at work, in the leadership role that I had for many years, it would frustrate me because I'm like, why don't these people get it?
Right.
But then I had to learn that everyone doesn't think like you.
That is like a big challenge for me still, you know. And it's not to say that I want to change people. You know, I can't change nobody but me. But it's like, dang, I was associating age with maturity, you know, and stuff like that. And I'm just like, well, damn, how you don't get it yet? Well, life has not spanked you enough yet for you to get the picture yet. How bad does it need to get?
To get, right.
You know what I mean? Like, and you never know who's who or what's what. Like, I've been in some situations where it's like I gotta humble myself because I don't know who I'm around. I don't know what's going on. Somebody could be on their last leg today.
Yeah.
And they can be right here.
You never know like the day that someone's having. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's where it's just like now it doesn't really frustrate me when people don't take ownership. I've learned to believe people. When they show me who they are, to believe them.
That's good.
So it's like, if you can't take accountability, if you can't take ownership, that's just who you are, and that's just unfortunate. And I can choose to deal with you or not to deal with you and remove myself.
And I'm definitely awakening to that.
Yeah.
You know, and here's my thing. Like, I've done that, you know, and stood on it. I don't really have a big problem doing it. I just I think from my past experiences and stuff, me having to show up and fight my fight all the time, you know what I'm saying? Nobody really showing up on my behalf fighting for me has made me feel like it always has to be rough, you know, or it has to be like almost violent, you know, when I stand up for myself. And I try not to make it that, but I get frustrated like you do. And then it's like, okay, look, now this is the side of me I told y'all didn't want to see.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I hate that I have to be this to show you that I'm really not nothing to play with when it comes to this or that. You know, like I think Dave Chappelle said it one time in one of his stand-up specials, and I'm just like, dang, that was pretty good. He's like, his mom told him, sometimes you got to be a lion to be the sheep you really are. And I was like, ooh. That's good. Like, I can't say I'm really a sheep, but at the same time, I'm not really trying to be messed with, you know, and do all the extras like with people. Right. Like, and people they don't get the hint. They don't take the bait and see like, okay, you know what, you're trying. Let me leave you alone. Yeah. You know,
they just keep pushing.
Oh my God,
poking the bear, poking the bear.
Yeah, I don't know why, you know. And then it's like now when I stand up and say what it is, I'm wrong. Like, nah. Yeah. You know, but again, you can't hold on to all of those traumas. Definitely need an outlet. That's why you have therapy. That needs to be a priority. Yeah. A big priority.
I mean, and like anything, right? therapy may not be for everyone, but it is definitely a resource. And if you are finding that you're in reoccurring toxic situations, right, that you can't seem to shake, whatever that looks like, you might want to dig a little deeper. And figure out what it is about you that's holding on to this toxicity. And it could be for many different reasons, right? Some people hold on to toxic situations because it's a form of codependency, whether it is that they, have suffered loss together or grew up together, or, they feel like that person is all they have, or whatever it is, and so codependency can be a toxic trait.
Most definitely.
Right? Because if you're so codependent that you're finding yourself in situations that are unhealthy, that is toxic.
It's crazy how all that stuff is full circle, because you'll drag yourself, and then shift blame and say, oh, you did this to me. No. Accountability right there. Insert accountability right there. You did that.
Exactly. Because someone can only do to you what you allow them to do.
That's true.
And setting boundaries and just being clear about what it is that you will and will not put up with or accept is super important.
Boundaries.
It's boundaries,
Were you taught that?
Boundaries?
Yeah, as a kid or growing up?
That's a really good question. I don't know necessarily that I was taught boundaries. But I did come from a very strong woman.
Okay.
My mom was very strong, and my grandmother is super strong. And they're very zero tolerance type of women.
So you just kind of picked it up.
So my mom was just not to be fooled with, and she had 3 rules. The nicest woman you'd ever meet, but you didn't mess with her kids, her husband, or her money. If you mess with one of those 3 things,
you're asking for it.
And the thing is that because she was a Christian woman, a super nice woman, people didn't expect to see that side of her. But let me tell you that the late Apostle Wanda Henderson would whoop somebody's ass in a heartbeat if you messed with one of those 3 things. So yeah, she just wasn't one to be played with at all. So boundaries, I think, is just something that I had to kind of tailor to fit me as an individual. But because I came from a long line of strong women who didn't deal with nonsense, I that is something that I picked up, that I knew that, like,
That's good. Can you imagine, like, if you had not and you just continued, you could have, like, become emotionally unavailable?
I think
to some degree, maybe. I'm just saying,
I don't know,
in some ways.
I feel like someone that's emotionally unavailable, honestly, I feel like that's more of a defense mechanism for trauma that they've experienced.
Yeah, okay, I give you that.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Right. So I don't think necessarily that boundaries has a whole lot to do with being emotionally unavailable.
Well, no, not exactly. Well, maybe to some degree.
Well, when I think of emotionally, someone that's emotionally unavailable, I think of someone who is guarded. They don't want to show emotion. They don't want to let anybody in. Yeah. They're trying very hard not to,
I mean, it's still a boundary, but I guess, it's like anything else out
there.
there.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, I guess it's like anything else out
like
there.
These are my boundaries. Right.
Yeah,
I can see that.
But it depends on how you use it. You know what I mean? So whatever it is, it's like if you use it for bad, then okay, it's gonna be bad. You know, and like you say, being emotionally unavailable.
Yeah, I can see that.
Kind of like a bad thing. You know,
it's kind of like in the movie 50 Shades of Grey.
Right.
So Christian Grey was. He had been abused as a child and had a lot of trauma. So as an adult, I guess his boundary, if you will, is that he was emotionally unavailable. So he was very guarded. But as much as he tried not to allow himself to fall,
right, still did.
Inevitably he did, right? So I mean, I guess when you come from that perspective, it could definitely be boundaries. It can be a defense mechanism. Trauma has a lot to do with people that are like emotionally unavailable. Do I think that emotionally unavailable people exhibit toxic behavior?
It's like on a day-to-day, huh?
Yes, Jeez. I do because I mean it's not human nature to not want to love.
No, I don't think
and
so.
Someone that's emotionally unavailable almost in a sense is trying their damnedest not to.
I mean, that's crazy to even think about it like that when you say it like that. Because there's a bunch of people out there doing that, you know. It's like you know what you're capable of,
right?
But you don't want to do it because you're afraid of this trauma reoccurring, you know.
For whatever it is, so it's right. Gonna take the right person to knock down those walls, right?
That's crazy.
In the movie, 50 Shades, I mean, she did eventually get his walls knocked down. She knocked him down. She was patient, right? And I think it can happen for anyone, right?
Right.
But there are some steps that have to happen, right? And I think we spoke on it earlier. Accountability, is definitely one of those things, and awareness.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, it's crazy. Like older I get now, when I look at stuff and I listen to more things, more other podcasts and pieces of advice and stuff, you hear a lot more about being what you want to attract.
Absolutely, energy is contagious.
Oh my God, that's so serious.
It is.
I just that's
had a conversation. That's why you often hear people say, you're attracting where you are in life, right?
It's kind of crazy, yeah.
It is.
It's kind of crazy.
It is. And then being aware of that, and some people just they're not aware. And because they lack accountability, they're just like in this whole other realm of why all these things are happening to them.
Right.
So.
Nah, that's crazy. That's wild. Mm-hmm. And I try not to think about why is this happening to me versus is this happening for me?
Right.
If it's happening for me, then it's got to be a benefit in that, but to me, it's not like a punishment.
And the other thing, that people have to remember is that not everybody's meant to go with you to the next level.
Man, Nip said that shit a long time ago.
So when you are leveling up, you will find that people are just dropping off.
Yes, you ain't lied.
And one thing for me, one of the prayers that I always, pray is I ask God to remove the people that are not for me from my life.
I heard that prayer twice.
And it doesn't matter who it is. But I learned that is something that I was taught, just because I truly believe that.
That's
that not everybody's meant to go with you to the next level. So, when you think of toxic and the relationships and all these different things, and you're kind of like, man, like you're torn because you care for someone or you love them or whatever the case may be, you got to think big picture. big picture.
I need you to think big.
Yeah.
I need you to be thinking big.
Yes. Where are you trying to go?
No,
what
for
are
real.
you trying to
For
do
real.
and accomplish?
For
and
real.
if that person and what's going on, in that situation isn't aligning with the bigger picture, then you got to be okay with
them skating.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Or you leaving them. That's
Absolutely.
really true. No, for real.
And they say, that people come into your life for a
Reason
reason
or a season. Either one, hey, it's got to be.
So
You ain't lied.
Yeah.
You ain't lied about that. That's good.
yeah. And
That's good.
and again, I am a connoisseur for learning, right? Hopefully I'm saying the right word. But yeah, I think that whatever the situation is, good or bad, take something from it.
Got to.
And as long as you learn something, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right. So
Keep it moving,
gotta,
level up.
Got to change the mindset, Like I think Albert Einstein even tested that theory. I think we were talking about that once. Like all the good shit he's doing or whatever, and everything that lined up that was perfect, nobody said shit about. But he did it on purpose to make a mistake, and that's really what people paid attention to, and pointed out the most. And it's like that even in your everyday life, like don't look for the bad shit. Don't look for the toxic and negative shit. You got to really look for the lesson and the blessing out there that's in whatever it is, regardless if it's good, bad, however it looks, Yep. I don't care if it's sunshine, rain, doesn't matter. There's always something to be learned in that and walk away with you,
Absolutely.
Guaranteed.
Absolutely. So what do you think about this topic? Is it like sensitive? Is it common sense?
This one here,
Commonly sensitive.
This is common sense. Definitely.
Is it?
Yeah, because it's not sensitive. I don't think so. If you consider or deem this sensitive, you don't like growth and you don't want to grow, to me. I tell people all the time, like, if I'm messing up, let me know that. Don't ever hesitate or be afraid to tell me, where it is I could have done better, because there's always room for improvement. Even when it seems damn near perfect, there's still room for improvement.
Yeah, but you're open to constructive criticism. You're
Gotta be
also
open.
someone that accepts accountability.
Oh, yeah.
And someone that lacks accountability is probably not open to constructive criticism. So, in my opinion, it could be a sensitive topic.
Could be.
Common sense, as we know, is not so common.
And it's sad.
So I would say, sensitive, whatever, common sense, you hit it right on the nail. Growth is uncomfortable.
It is.
If you are comfortable, you are not growing.
I always say that. Like, and people don't think about how simple things really are and the order of operation and the way things work. Some things will just never change. Like that's one of them right there. Just growth, being uncomfortable. Think about it like this: when you're growing up, your clothes start to get too tight and shit is
and
uncomfortable.
it's not comfortable.
Your drawers in your ass. That's it. Hey, it's time to switch lanes and shift gears. I seen something about that the other morning too, about people being stagnant and haven't shifted gears in life to be further ahead or doing better than what they are. And at the end of the day, this is not a rat race against nobody but you and you, nobody else. You know what I'm saying? And success can come for you later, it can come now, but it's up to you. And how you deal with things and how you maneuver.
Yeah. And I would say, in closing, that we as people, it's in the music, it's everywhere. The word toxic is being glorified. And it's like,
that's ridiculous.
It's kind of like a funny thing now, right? It's also a oxymoron. But it's not a game. It's not a game. And if you want to grow, you want to remove anything toxic from your life. Because when I think of toxic, I think of death.
Yeah,
right.
Eventually, it leads to that.
Eventually, that's what it leads to. And so, toxic is a negative. It has a negative. It's negative. It's not. There's nothing positive in being toxic.
Stop thinking that shit cute out there, y'all. Yeah. It's not cute.
No.
It's not cute. Yeah. Give it a rest.
We want to thank you for tuning in. As always, we'll see you next time on the Common Sense.